Welcome into the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. I'm Kay Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail and the host for this week's podcast. This is the podcast for the week of June the 30th, kind of heading on into the 4th of July. So we're going to try to light things up here on this podcast with our two Angler of the Year teams, your 2025 North Anglers of the Year, Hunter Davidson and Bryant Fikes, as well as your 2025 South and overall Anglers of the Year, Zeke Gossett and Ethan King. Both of those teams had phenomenal years on the Alabama Bass Trail. And I want to just point out, they're relatively new to the Alabama Bass Trail. Hunter has fished with his dad in the South Division, but this is his first year entering the competition in the North Division. Hunter Davidson, Bryant Fikes' first year on the Alabama Bass Trail North Division. And Zeke Gossett and Ethan King, this is their first year to fish the North and South together. So they have fished the ABT 100s, but this is the North and the South, 225 boats, 10 different bodies of water. And they did fairly well in both. Fairly well. They won the South and had a heck of a year in the North. And we're going to talk about that in the third segment. But first off, we have Hunter Davidson and Bryant Fikes. Let's talk about their year. With 1,125 points up for grabs, they had 1,047 points. Smith Lake, they came in 12th overall. And then at Lake Guntersville, we already know they won the most monumental tournament ever held on the Alabama Bass Trail at Lake Guntersville, 58 bags over 20 pounds, and they take the win there. Neely Henry Lake, they were in 32nd place, struggled just a little bit on the Coosa River, went on down to Weiss Lake where they had a 33rd place finish. But then Pickwick, they came back to the Tennessee River, had a 5th place finish, came back from 4th place in the Angler of the Year points to take home the Angler of the Year title. So we're going to talk a little bit about what they actually receive for being Anglers of the Year when we talk to them in just a little bit. But again, this is their first year fishing the Alabama Bass Trail together. And it's going to be interesting to hear them talk about their year and see, is there anything they would have did differently? We might see if they're going to complain about their boat number with me. Every other Angler of the Year team pretty much has. So we'll see if they have any qualms about their boat numbers. But really cool to see those guys do so well. And FYI to all of you people who might be looking at that ABT 100 schedule, they signed up for that too. So it's been a phenomenal year on the Alabama Bass Trail. I'm not going to lie. We have had our struggles, but all in all, it's been a phenomenal year. And these two teams did it the best. So we're going to talk to them in just a little bit when we come back from our really short commercial break, hear from a couple of our sponsors, pay a few bills, and we'll be right back here on the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. Hunter Davidson, Bryant Fikes, your 2025 North Anglers of the Year are up next. Y'all stay tuned.
Jack's here, and in the South, we know how hard it is waiting for bowl season to come round again. So we're kicking off our own bowl season. For a limited time, you can get our new loaded fried chicken bowl. It's a hearty heap of hand-breaded chicken fingers, crispy bacon, buttered corn, and mashed potatoes with white peppered gravy. Might not fill the football-shaped hole in your heart, but it'll sure fill your stomach. Get the loaded fried chicken bowl for a limited time.
Welcome back to the second segment of the Alabama Bass Trail podcast. We have your 2025 Anglers of the Year from the North Division, Hunter Davidson, Bryant Fikes. Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You know, win and you get on the podcast. Angler of the Years, you get on the podcast. Y'all had a heck of a year, guys.
Yeah, it was a good year. I mean, we was really blessed to catch them everywhere we went. We had a lot of things go our way.
I mentioned this in the beginning of the podcast. You're relatively new to the Alabama Bass Trail. Bryant is 100% new. Hunter, you fished a couple years with your dad in the South.
Yeah,
decided to jump in. Yeah, decided to jump in the North. Dude, I mean, you had to, 1,047 points out of 1,125. That's a heck of a year, Bryant.
Yeah, Hunter has taught me all the little ins and outs of tournament bass fishing because I went absent in bass fishing, going to pharmacy school and all that. But just recently, jumped in full feet forward with this. And he said, just kind of hearing him talk about, Gunnersville was just crazy, but then just as it's going, like how the points kind of add up here and there, and this little kicker fish and that one, just see it all come together is pretty crazy. But yeah, it is definitely special just because I didn't really know as many fishermen as he did, but after learning everybody now, like it's crazy how stout this whole roster is. So it's pretty cool.
It is. I mean, there are a lot of big names sitting behind you guys, but let's not talk about them. Let's talk about your season because new to the Alabama Bass Trail, come to Smith Lake. Had either of you fished Smith Lake in a tournament before?
No, man.
Uh,
How many days did you practice up there at Smith?
We practiced 2 days that week, and I think we went maybe 2 or 3 times before that week.
Okay. Your thoughts on Smith Lake? I mean, you finished 12th, so it wasn't a terrible finish for you.
I think it's a fun fishery. We actually had, I mean, decent practices. I thought we could do pretty well. The tournament came along though, and we got in a bind pretty quick. We started off with a 3 pounder, but then we got in a real bind. We looked at each other at lunch, didn't really know what to do besides basically just asked Hunter where did he caught a 3 pounder at in practice, and said let's make a run. We'll have about an hour and a half to fish it, and caught like what, Hunter, like three more 3 pounders right there at the
Yeah,
end,
yeah, right
and
in the
came
end.
in. But practice was great. But the tournament was a little tough. But I love Smith. Like it is fun.
Yeah, it was
It,
fun. Catch a bunch of fish. It's just hard to get them bigger bites.
Hmm.
well, we got to talk about Gunnersville because I mentioned earlier in the podcast the most monumental tournament we've ever had on Gunnersville, 58 bags over 20 pounds, and you guys come in and do it better than everyone else. How surreal was that day?
I'll never forget it. I mean, yeah, I will never forget it. That was really special. It just cracks me up because Hunter catching that 8 pounder, he just slung his rattle trap off. And that was just so funny. Like the second cast of the day, and I had just caught one like the first cast on a chatterbait, and I'm like, just throw that chatterbait, and he says, all right, and he slings it and catches an 8 pounder. I mean, just stuff like that happened, but. The whole day was crazy. We didn't get a ton of bites, but when we did, I mean, they were just all bigs. And I just can't believe it. Yeah, that was special. Gunnersville just has that name. It's kind of like Champlain, maybe, or just maybe a couple others, but Gunnersville just has, the win there is awesome.
Hunter, you've done fishing tournaments. You fished a lot of fishing tournaments. You hear about Lake Gunnersville. Did you know that it could be truly that special?
I mean, yeah, I knew it. I knew it could be, but I mean, for it to all happen to us, that's that quick like that, and we really didn't think we had enough because it'd been taking like 33 pounds when a bunch of the tournaments around there. So we were just hoping to make top 10 and then to come out on top at the end. I mean, it was really special.
That was a fantastic event. It's the best we've ever had there. We've had some good events. We've had 38 bags over 20. We've had a 30, I want to say 3202 is our largest bag, the very first tournament on the Alabama Bass Trail schedule ever in 2014. And we still haven't topped that weight, but it has been a special lake for the Alabama Bass Trail. And you guys, I mean, 58 bags over 20 pounds, and y'all did it better than anybody that day. So, heading down to Neely Henry, I won't say stumbled. You still got to check. Got to check in every event this year. The Coosa River wasn't as good to you as the Tennessee River. 32nd place at Neely Henry. And I know when you came off the stage, especially Bryant, he's just shaking his head like, what happened there? What happened there?
Well, Hunter had been there a couple times. I had never been there, so I didn't know what I was signing up for. I ended up, Hunter told me of some pocket to go into. I go in there and it's a golf course, dodging golf balls. I'm like, where am I at right now? And I mean, Hunter did really well in that tournament. He found a big one on bed that absolutely saved us. I mean, we had a starting spot that we thought we might could get to do really well a lot better than what we did. There was a couple boats on it, but that's just how it is. But no, it's a love-hate relationship with probably Neely, I'd say. Yeah.
Hunter, what about you? What's your feelings on Neely?
Yeah, I was the same way. I mean, it was brutal that day. We just caught one really big one that saved the day for us, but I mean, without that fish, we'd had like 9 pounds probably. It was terrible.
It would have shook the points up. That's for dadgum sure. And hey, since we're talking about just love hate relationships, Weiss Lake, May the 10th, in the most brutal conditions that I have ever seen at Weiss Lake. We blasted boats off. It was 69 degrees. The minute I got in my truck to leave coming home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's 40 degrees. That was the most miserable day miserable day. Talk
Well,
about 33rd place finish.
well, I'll tell you, Miss K, we came bad close to something special happening in that one. The day before, well, my whole trim went out of my motor, so I had to practice with Hunter, and we just eased up, and it's like 11 o'clock. It's hot, no wind, and we ended up what, Hunter got a few bites on a swim jig. One looked like a pretty good one. I said, well, look, this might happen at daylight. Right here, we put a waypoint on it, and Hunter had one little seawall we said we were gonna hit real quick, and we were late, but kind of pretty late on that one. He had a seawall he wanted to hit, and then we're going straight to that waypoint. And we get all the way there and watch the guys who win the whole tournament pull down at our waypoint. So I guess it's their waypoint too, but I'm like, oh my gosh, we watched them catch every single fish, and we just had to just soak it in. So it came real close on that one for being special too.
Yeah, Nolan Spencer, Jonathan Reese, that second time they've won there. Those guys are stone cold fish catchers. I know they caught them really good at Pickwick as well. But that tournament, though, those conditions from what you practiced in to what you had on tournament day, completely different day.
Oh gosh, we were really in a bind, honestly. At what, Hunter, I think at 1 o'clock we had, or 12 o'clock we had three fish, and we bounced across this coastal river, and
Spearing waves, big
I
old
mean,
waves
spearing
there was.
waves. And I'm like, what are we in right now? And we go over this some dinky creek. I ended up catching a 2 pounder somehow. That's a blessing. And then finally, we literally said, screw this. Let's go back to the canal. I had one rock pile in there, and we get all the way in there. There is boats lined. I mean, I don't even know how they're throwing. They're just fishing everywhere. I'm like, well, we ain't got a chance, man. We're about to weigh in four fish. And we come around the corner where the little rock pile is. There ain't a boat in sight. And I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, all right, pull it up right here. And Hunter catches another, what, 2.5 or something.
Yeah, right at the end.
And he hooked it a little deep. So we better come in right now. But just to be safe. But yeah, that, like I said, everything happened. It's so crazy. Like every fish counted. Looking on the Angler of the Year stuff, it's crazy how it all happened.
I've said this time and time again, and we've had anglers, whether they're veteran anglers with us or new anglers with us, when they win, they're like, everything had to go our way. Everything had to happen just perfectly, and it did. So let's talk about Pickwick Lake. You head into the Angler of the Year race in fourth place. Gosh, I can't remember how many points out, but significant. I mean,
Yeah,
significant.
27, yeah.
27 points out.
27.
But we knew Mark and Tim, that wasn't the lake they had had the best luck on. Damien and Tyler had some good finishes there early in the year, but they were boat number 218. But y'all were boat what?
203, I think. Something like
203.
that. Yeah.
203, 27 points behind, came in fifth place. Did you come in early? I can't remember. It seems like you did.
Yeah, a little bit. We have one dead fish, so we come in a little early.
One dead fish. And still were able to capture the Angler of the Year points lead. How cool is that?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, Pickwick, we was real worried about having the late boat number. You know, all the community holes, all the ledge stuff. We knew would have boats on it by the time we got there. So we tried to find something real sneaky, like off the wall deal that we could catch them on. And we thought we'd probably have to win to even have a chance to get Angler of the Year. And I got lucky and found this like really off the wall spot. And we pulled up there Saturday morning and had all our weight by like 7:15 that morning. So it was real special.
So 7:15, we blasted off somewhere around 5:15. I remember it was overcast, cloudy, and we had to delay it for just a little bit. But by 7:15, 2 hours probably after takeoff, maybe hour and 45 minutes when y'all got gone because of it taking so long to get to y'all. But all of your weight by 7:15. You came in a little bit early because you did have one expire. You really couldn't chance having that second one go.
Uh-uh.
No, that would have been devastating right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was but
Go
yeah,
ahead.
but like Hunter said, I mean, really like honestly, we done kind of gave up on the Angle of the Year, if you want to know the honest truth. We were just like, how can we catch 17 to 19 pounds? And we had, it seemed like some stumps were doing pretty good on that. So that's really like I think we're trying to stay in the top nine.
Mhm.
And that was the whole deal with that. And then when Hunter rechecked his school and caught like a 5.5, because originally when he found them, they were like 3 pounders. So, obviously that's not a crazy big bag, but it was like 5.5, I think. And so we honestly had no idea what we were about to roll up to. And then, like I said, after the fourth fish got it here, Hunter's like, we got 23 pounds. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it just ended up, it was special. Yeah.
And there was nobody around you, boat 203, and nobody around you.
I mean, we I don't know how. It really was. I don't even know why the fish were there. It was a hard spot, I guess, but I don't know. That's some like Dylan and Carter Nutt finding stuff right there. I mean, that is way off the wall.
That's cool. Those kids have had a phenomenal year as well. I try to keep up with them, but there's so much going on the Alabama Bass Trail. It's hard to follow all of these other trails, and I try to watch my guys and a lot of the other trails that they fish with. But I want to talk a little bit about your year. I know you said Neely Henry kind of threw you for a loop. Is there a lake, and if so, what would you do differently? What lake is it, and what would you do differently?
It's hard to say we do anything different after we won, but it probably, I don't know, man. Probably wise. We'd probably went and started on that spot instead of hitting the seawall first, but they still could have already been there because we was a pretty late boat number. But that's probably the only one I would change.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like Hunter said. There's definitely nothing we do different at Gunnersville. Smith, end up hearing Fisher talk about how he didn't catch any on the minnow that tournament, so I don't know what we could have done different there because it was a tough one. Weiss would have to be it. Yeah, I guess so. But that change of conditions, I've never fished there. That's about my fourth time. I don't know what we would have done differently, honestly, knowing the conditions. I mean, it was just, yeah. Neely, I guess, we probably should have maybe found more grass stretches, I guess. That might have been the only other thing, maybe. I don't know. It's like I said, all the little ponds have been so new to us. We literally went into all this getting our feet wet. This is just crazy that we're even on this podcast right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
But we've talked about the fact that time on the water is important, but also
It
not
is.
fishing history. Do you think that at all helped you with just not having a ton of history there and just going and fishing what you knew or what you found?
Gunnersville for sure. I mean, I think we would have we caught the big one in like a 5 pound early, but then we caught our last fish at 2:30 and we've been there for 4 hours. I mean, we are pole down all in on the spot. I mean, seriously. So I think we would have made a move there, but just not really being there that much. We were just all in. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the season's over, the regular season's over, but you got a couple more tournaments coming up that are going to be pretty important events. The first one, let's talk about the no entry fee championship for the Alabama Bass Trail. $50,000 first place on the line. You don't have to pay to get there. Hunter, you mentioned off air that you went there this weekend, did a little bit of graphing. Bryant, have you been to Wheeler yet?
Never been there, never seen it.
I want to just say they have a first place finish at Gunnersville, a fifth place finish at Pickwick. The Tennessee River has been good to these guys. Are you pumped about it, or what's going on? What's going in your mind with those two great finishes on the Tennessee River?
Yeah, it's a little different than Gunnersville and Pickwick. Just fish is a little different and stuff. I mean, but I'm excited for it. We just have to figure them out that week the tournament gets here. But I'm gonna spend some time there before then, learn it a little bit.
Yeah,
Spent
sorry, I was gonna say I don't know. Me and Hunter fish. When was that big bass thing at Gunnersville? Hunter, was that
I think it
October
was
as well?
sometime in October. Yeah.
So I don't know if they pattern the same at all. Maybe that'll relate over. That was we fished there in October last year, so maybe we can go off something on that. But yeah, we'll learn as we go. I hope.
There's some really good teams in that tournament, but Wheeler is 67,000 acres. The water shouldn't be down too low at that time. They don't usually start taking it down till about November, but it is a drawdown lake, which kind of stinks. It is a little bit different from Gunnersville. We don't see the drawdown, the 5 to 7 foot drawdown at Gunnersville like we do at Wheeler. But I'm excited. That's my former home lake. That's where I lived prior to moving here to Coleman, so I'll enjoy it. But again, you punched your ticket by being the Anglers of the Year to a little tournament that's going to go on over in Anderson, South Carolina on Lake Hartwell, the Bassmaster Team Championship. How excited are you about going there?
That'll be my furthest trip to go bass fishing. I think. I think Hunter's been a little ways over there on his open in Georgia, I believe. But that'd be my furthest. But just kind of hearsay of how it sets up. I'm excited to fish there.
It's
Yeah,
not
I
going to
went to
fish like Demopolis in the Alabama River, Hunter. It's going to fish a
no, it's
little
not.
bit different.
Yeah, I went to Clark's Hill. I think it's on the same like river system, whatever. It's kind of on the South Carolina line back in January for the Bassmaster Open. And it was a big scope tournament. And I think this tournament's going to be a big scoping tournament too. I mean, we love to scope. We love to do anything. Any way you can catch bass, we like to do it. So we're excited about it.
Good deal. I know my friend Neil Paul is excited about having these Alabama Bass Trail guys come back to his hometown too. Let's talk a little bit about your in for 2026 for the North Division. We're going to kick it off. Let's see here if I can remember the schedule because, I did that schedule quite a bit ago, but I think we're starting off is it Gunnersville that we're starting off at on February 28th?
I think so.
I was going to say. February 28th, starting off at Lake Gunnersville. What do you think about that?
Are we all in? I mean, I don't know if we can go more up from here, but we're gonna give it a good shot at it. We're excited. February's could be fun there, for sure. So hopefully around the big ones.
Going to be a big time tournament. Then you're going to back it up and go to Pickwick Lake in March, 1 month later. A little bit different fishing though than you saw in June there. Hunter, what you thinking about that?
I think both of those tournaments will be like slugfest events. I think we'll have to have like 30 pounds in both of them to win. I mean, that time of year on Gunnersville and Pickwick, I mean, Tennessee River's just been on fire all year, really, but especially that time of year, they'll both be really good tournaments.
I think so too. We're going to head back to Neely Henry around the same time we were there this year. You might get a chance to do something a little bit different. Who knows what your boat number will be? I have no idea what that'll be. But Neely Henry about the same time. And then May 9th, coming back to Wheeler Lake. I guess you'll know a little bit more about how you feel about that after you're there in October for the championship. And then we finish up at Weiss Lake. So, I mean, it could be 40 degrees. It could be 140 degrees. Who knows? Who knows?
We're excited.
Well, I am tickled to death for you guys. I do want to ask you overall, now that a season's behind you, especially you, Bryant, because you haven't fished Alabama Bass Trail before, what would you say to sum up your season on the Alabama Bass Trail?
I think we've had some decently big tournaments around here that I've jumped in, but when Hunter said it was over 200 boats, I thought it was going to be an absolute cluster, just this and that. But you have a great, honestly, organized. This is the most organized tournament that I've ever seen. I know I don't fish a lot, but just to get in and out and everything, you just can tell everybody knows where they're supposed to be. So if anybody for sure ever wants to jump in, if they can get in, definitely to get in. But it was awesome. It was fun. I mean, obviously, Angler of the Year, we're doing this podcast, had another podcast with you on a big win. So obviously it was a fun year. It's going to be hard to top it. But, I mean, we're going to try next year for sure. But it's just been a great season. I mean, we'll never forget it. Nobody can take it away from us. So it's just been awesome.
Hunter, you fish with your dad at the South, now fishing with Bryant. You've gotten to go to 10 different bodies of water. Talk about your experience on the Alabama Bass Trail.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's definitely the best run trail there is. And all that you and your team put in, like the camera bows and everything, I mean, it's basically like you're fishing like a pro tournament. You got live all day, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it just makes you feel really good. And everybody knows about it. Everybody watches it. It's just a real big deal. So, and everything goes so smooth. I mean, you would think with 200 and something boats, that it would take forever to get put in, blast off and everything, but it's so smooth. And, I mean, I fished a lot of other big tournaments that are not near that smooth. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but y'all do a good job.
Well, thank you. We do have a really good team. Let's talk about your Angler of the Year prize pack. Of course, you get your entry fees paid for the 2026 season. That's $1,600. You get a $2,500 Angler of the Year bonus, a $2,500 Garmin prize pack, and your $500 entry fees to the Bass Team Championship. So that comes up to a $7,100 prize pack for being Anglers of the Year in the ABT North. So it's pretty good. Pretty good deal there.
Yeah, it's real good.
Very good deal.
Well, congratulations, guys. Excited for you, but excited for the Alabama Bass Trail to have y'all represent us as our Angler of the Year team. And I look forward to seeing y'all at Wheeler Lake if I don't see you before then.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go, guys. Your 2024 ABT North Anglers of the Year, Hunter Davidson and Bryant Fikes. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be back with Zeke Gossett and Ethan King, your overall Anglers of the Year, and the AOY for the South Division. Y'all stay tuned.
Things you let me see.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. And as I promised in the first segment, your 2025 Anglers of the Year in the South Division and your overall Anglers of the Year, Zeke, Gossett, and Ethan King. Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Ethan, how's that sound? Overall Anglers of the Year.
It's a long time coming. I've been pretty close several times, so I'm glad to be Anglers of the Year this year.
Good. Zeke, you shared that title with John Kellett a couple years ago on the North Division. I think most of us would have probably picked you in the South Division before the North Division, but you guys had a phenomenal year. You finished with 1,087 points out of a possible 1,125, making you the second highest that's ever finished in the Alabama Bass Trail Angler of the Year. What a season you guys are, having.
Yeah, it's been a dream season. I think we talked a little bit about it at the last tournament, but when we saw the schedule for the South this year, the lakes and the months y'all were going there, we were definitely excited to get the year going. Well,
not only fishing the ABT South Division, but also fishing the ABT North, and you finished the year in 14th in that division as well, and the ABT 100s, and you're sitting second in the points there. So all around, North, South, East, and West, you guys are getting it done in a big, big way. So got a couple of tournaments left. But before we do that, I want to recap your season because pretty phenomenal. Checks in every event, but also you had 3 top 10. So let's talk about it. First of all, I'm going to give you a chance to take a pop shot at Miss K about boat numbers. Were you upset about your boat numbers this year, or were you okay with your boat numbers this year?
I can't really remember a time we were upset with boat numbers. I feel like, your boat number and the way y'all do it is awesome. The way, your boat number coming up. So you can kind of practice around that. And, and it's the same for everybody. As long as the rules are the same for everybody, I'm cool with it. So I don't remember a time where we really didn't have a bad boat number, but, we just kind of practice around the boat numbers, honestly.
All right.
I agree. We kind of took the boat number and put it in our game plan.
That's good. That's good. Well, for the first year, neither one of the Angler of the Year teams griped at me about their boat number because last year I got blamed for all the bad boat numbers but they still won Angler of the Year. So I don't understand how it was a bad thing. So Lake Martin, we started off the year 20th place there. Is that kind of, were you okay with that finish? I know you always want to win, but Lake Martin's one of those tournaments where literally a quarter of a pound can separate you by 50 places.
Yeah, I'll start here and I'll let Ethan kind of finish up. But that tournament, we kind of came into it. I had fished a couple of tournaments prior to that tournament, Martin, and I had not done any good. And I told Ethan, I was like, man, I've been fishing shallow and trying to win these tournaments. And, that's how I ended up getting one, and it always will in February. But I told Ethan, I said, hey, we might just need to play this one safe. I said, I've been down here for 2 weeks and I've not caught one over 3 pounds up shallow. And I said, we can go catch some, 2 somethings, which is crazy to say, but I said, we might can have 11.5, 12 pounds down there on the lower end scoping. So anyways, we ended up playing it safe, which is usually not us at all. I said, we kind of have to look forward to points. And I think that's one of the tournaments or one of the reasons we finished so high. And we just kind of played it safe, to be honest with you. And I said, we'll try to win the rest of the season. That's what we did. So.
Ethan, how much time did you put in at Martin prior to the tournament?
To be honest with you, I can't remember. Probably Zeke probably can answer that question better than me, but we had to put in at least 3 days. I don't think there's a lake we didn't put at least 3 days in.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So is it important to know when you're not fishing for the win, but just to be safe and know when to hold them, know when to fold them, kind of speak?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lake Martin to me is that lake that, because the weights are so jumbled up, I think we had 150 bags from 8 pounds to 10 pounds. So it's just one of those lakes that just the smallest error, I guess, can really make a difference at that lake.
Right.
All right.
So, hey, I'll tell you the highlight of our trip. It's kind of a side story, but we were staying at the tents in Wind Creek, and they're awesome tents. Don't get me wrong; they were great. Wind Creek's great, but we had bought some food for the week, and we went out practicing. And Ethan came back. We practiced in separate boats a lot of times, not all the time, but this tournament we did. Ethan came back a little early one afternoon, or I say early. I was just coming back too, but Ethan walked into the tent when we had got infested by squirrels. But anyways, Ethan got to have a boxing match with the squirrels inside the tent there for a second with the cheese off.
Yeah.
They were carrying a whole box of Cheez-Its off.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real honest with you. Miss K is not tent camping. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Very rarely am I going to be in a camper camping. It's just
Yeah.
not my thing. For
Hey,
years, my husband has wanted a camper, and it's just not my thing. I'm not wrestling with squirrels. And
watch out for the squirrels. But the glamping experience was awesome. Don't.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend it to a friend.
well, looking at the next tournament, Lake Martin, right there at Anglers Point, right beside Lincoln Landing. I've stayed there before, and I see some of the camping and the wagons and all the stuff that they have. They have really developed that area, and I know Logan Martin has to be one of those tournaments that you guys look forward to. You fish there a tremendous amount. I know Ethan, you do, or Zeke, you do some guiding there. Fourth place finish there. And I know that was not what you were expecting. Anytime you go to Lake Martin or Logan Martin, you expect to win there.
Yeah. And I wasn't very. I guess anytime you get a top 5 in the Alabama Bass Trail, you cannot be upset with it. I mean, you really can't. Of course, we want to win every time, especially on a lake that close to home. But I told Ethan before that tournament, we went and practiced actually together. I mean, we kind of already knew what we were going to do, regardless of how practice went, honestly. But we had a really good practice, and I told Ethan, I said, if we can get a kicker bite in this tournament, we'll win. And our first starting hole wasn't that great, but we hit 2 more, and Ethan caught one almost 5. And I was like, man, we were going to have a really good shot. And then our other fish just didn't back up. Like we were planning on catching some high 3-somethings pretty easily, but they just ended up being 3-pounders. But yeah, I mean, that was a very memorable day too. We slung a blade on the prop that morning, first thing. Ethan did a fantastic job. He was like the pit crew back there. We got on the bank. He got it changed out in record time. But just little things kind of got in the way in that tournament. But I mean, just to still fight back and finish fourth, we were honestly, with the day and the way it went, we were happy with it.
Ethan, how do you not get spun out when something like that happens? Because that happened pretty early in the day, right?
If it wasn't something, it wouldn't be nothing. So you always got to count on something.
Yeah.
Ethan is a man of few words. As a matter of fact, coming into this podcast, I worry about this because I'm trying to pull things out of him, but he's very just man of few words, just about his business. And I can't say that I hate that because I've got some that's a man of a lot of words. And sometimes I just want to go, hush.
Yeah. No, that's all business.
We've seen that happen. We've seen Chris and Kobe have the same situation, lose an ear on the prop and have to get out in the water and make that change really quickly. And I'm sure in March at Logan Martin, the water was still a little cool and having to get all that done. So Alabama River, do y'all spend a good bit of time down there other than on the Alabama Bass Trail? Do you fish other events there?
Not really.
I
I
fished
don't.
3 tournaments there, and I think 2 of them have been Alabama Bass Trails.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't necessarily come off the coast a whole lot, but Alabama River, you had a 12th place finish, which is pretty admirable in the conditions and stuff that we faced. Of course, we had great conditions until weigh-in, and then that's when the deluge happened of the rain. The first one of the year for me, for the rain. So Alabama River, 12th place. Did y'all weigh in largemouth or spots?
Spotted bass.
Spotted bass. Was that a scoping deal for you guys?
In a way, some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we were fishing a little bit shallow, a little deep. Again, practice was okay. You were talking about boat numbers earlier. We were black boat in the 220s. I can't remember. We actually blasted off 225 because we were a little late. But anyways, we had a full day, and we kind of practiced the boat number, or trying to. On a river system, we know rivers. We fish the Coosa River, so we tried to find a couple off the wall deals, but when we got out there, we started really close to the boat ramp, and not a lot of people started close in that tournament for some reason. We started fairly close to takeoff, and we actually Ethan caught a real nice fish right off the bat, and then I think I caught one. We moved to another spot. Ethan lost a good one, then I threw in there and lost a good one. So again, it was like one of them things we had to kind of fight back, and we made a real long run down the river, and ended up I can't really remember, but we caught some way down there that actually saved our day, like pretty late, and we had a real long day, so we were actually not disappointed with the boat number once we saw where everybody was fishing, and the year prior to that it rained a bunch that night before, and it had the river just rolling, and that was a challenge too. But this time around, it actually played in our favor, and we scoped and had a few fish shallow as well.
All right, good deal. Lake Eufaula, and I talked to probably 30 teams that practiced for 3 solid days and literally scouted and just marked and graphed for 3 solid days and never made a cast. What was your practice like? Because I know y'all spent a good bit of time down there.
You just said it.
Yeah. We did the whole, who can make the less cast deal, and we practiced separate in that one too. How we do practice, we usually separate, Wednesday and Thursday, and we kind of come together on Friday, and we'll get in the boat together, and he'll be like, hey, there's a good brush pile, or hey, there's a good school right over here, maybe, because we separate the lake. We don't try to double up the lake. We tell each other where we're going, of course, but man, that practice was pretty good too. Wasn't crazy though. I wasn't really expecting. I knew coming into that, normally 20 pounds is going to be all around. You really need about 23 to 24 to win, but I figured, we were leading. I think we might have been leading points, or we were like a couple points behind or something on that going into that tournament. And I said, if we set goals for every tournament. I think our goal for that tournament was 18. We had 16 really quick, and then we ran across the spot and cold one more time and had 18 fairly early in the morning. And that really, and you can get that relaxed that early in the morning. You're just fishing for big ones the rest of the day. There's not a greater feeling. So that's what kind of happened in that tournament. We had a real good start, and we actually called audible right at blast off, and we were going to go hit some brush piles real early and I found some brush with some big fish in it early, and Ethan's like, man, we might need to go start on this shallow school over here. And I'm like, I thought about it last night. I didn't say anything to you because normally we stick to the game plan. We usually don't stray off. And I was like, it's funny you say that. So anyways, we ran down to that shallow school and caught like 16 pounds off of them fairly quick. And that kind of got our morning rolling, just getting a bunch of bites. We caught like 20, 25 fish there. And we actually lost a pretty decent fish there too. But anyways, got our morning rolling. And from there on out, we were just fishing with confidence, honestly.
And that's, I hear that from teams over and over and over. Not only confidence in the baits that you're throwing, confidence in your equipment that you got, but just having that 16-pound limit. By what would you say that limit came? What time?
Probably, yeah.
At least 8 o'clock.
Yeah, at least 8 o'clock. Yeah, it might have been
probably earlier, maybe earlier than that.
Yeah, it was quick. It went down, but the next stop's where it really was like clicking. We were like, hey, that school's open over there. And it was actually a school that had just showed up. We had graphed them right before we went into weigh in. Right before Friday afternoon, right before we put the boat on the trailer, I scanned a spot. I scanned probably 10 times in practice and I hadn't seen them. And I scanned over it with Ethan, and I said, man, there's like 7 of them down there. And we were like, I've caught big ones there before. And normally when that happens, a lot of people hadn't found them, so they were fresh. And we pulled right over there, and then we caught like 1 10-inch spot, and Ethan caught like a 4.5 on a worm. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But we heard that all week, like things changed that entire week. The fish really did move from Wednesday to Saturday. They really were in a transition phase. Even I think we were there May 17th or something, and they were still moving and transitioning. And I think a lot of what we saw in the ABT 100, they were still transitioning. They really weren't out there where people thought they would be, even when we were there for the 100 2 weeks later.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what I saw in the May tournament, specifically, we had a friend staying with us, our buddy Grant, and he had caught some good ones up shallow, and he actually caught a real good fish catch of him up shallow. But I think what happened was the water dropped. I think the shallow bite was really good in practice. Not for us. We didn't really try it too much, but me and him went one morning and we got like 10 or 12 swim jig bites, and two of them were pretty good ones. But when we go down there, we mainly focus on the offshore bite because it's just the most consistent thing, in my opinion. But I think that kept some people up shallow, even though the water dropped. I think a lot of people stayed shallow, and then when that water drops there, it can get a little tough. Not saying nobody caught them. There's still some good bags caught shallow. Don't get me wrong. They're like incredible up shallow. But I think we had a lot more free movement, and what I thought that tournament normally is hard to get on stuff. And honestly, that tournament we had a harder time getting on it stuff in the 100 than we did there. So I think a lot of people were catching them up shallow, and it just kind of kept a lot of the boats up shallow, and that kind of allowed us to free up and move around down there on that south end.
Okay. Lay Lake, I know that lake is pretty special to you guys too, on the Coos River. Had a second place finish there, had phenomenal bag of fish. Is Lay Lake your favorite lake on the chain on the Coos
Absolutely
River?
not. Absolutely not.
Well, what is it then, Ethan?
Logan Martin or Weiss is probably my favorite.
Okay. What about you,
But
Zeke?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd have to say Logan Martin. I mean, I've lived on it my whole life, so I'll say Logan Martin.
So Weiss, like I can't imagine. I mean, y'all do have a win there in the ABT 100s. I can imagine that is one of your favorite lakes. It's one of my favorite lakes to go to, honestly. It's one of my favorite lakes to cover. I guess because it is a little bit smaller and we can get into a lot of those places, and the varying species of fish and the amount of largemouth that's at that lake too surprises a lot of people there. So I have to say, Ethan, to catch that 6 1/4 right off the bat, right on live, I mean, your heart's got to just be about beating out of your chest.
Definitely. That's your first bite's normally not a 6 1/4. So, but when you're right there leading points, and the first one you catch is 6 1/4, it definitely takes some pressure off.
Well, if your heart wasn't beating out of your chest, Luke Duncan's heart was beating out of his chest. I hope you've gone back and rewatched it, because I have, just because I had to hear Luke talk about it, and then to have another one to back it up. I mean, how cool was that to be on live? I know, Zeke, I know your dad was watching because he was texting me during the time, but I don't know if Shannon was watching or not. Ethan, was he watching live?
He actually wasn't. He was out of town, and he was working somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but he was busy with work. So no, he actually wasn't. He was fishing with my brother. They were down at the beach. They were offshore, so he didn't have service.
Surely he's watched it
That's
since
what he was
then,
doing.
because I'm going to tell you that was some great live coverage. And I know Luke was just so excited to get to cover y'all during that time. I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because at Logan Martin, Zeke, and I'm pretty honest and transparent about things. We've had guys say, hey, I'd rather Shane Powell at Eufaula, hey, I'd rather you not come to me till 10 o'clock. Anthony Goggins, I'd rather you not come to me until after 9 o'clock. You came to us at Logan Martin and said, hey, would you mind not coming to us until after 9 o'clock? And we respected that, correct?
Yep, you did. Yep.
But you guys are always so welcoming to our team on live. How is being a focus? Going into that tournament, you're going to be a focus on live. How do you mentally prepare for that?
Just go fishing.
Yeah, I'd say it's like, I guess Nick Saban says, just do your job, and we kind of try to pretend it's not there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like we just did our job. Like we put the work in to prepare for that tournament. Especially leading points. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal when, and everybody knows Alabama Bass Trail. I mean, it's awesome, and we just put in the work, and we focus on tying our knots, and and making sure everything's set and ready. And I don't know, we were just ultra prepared for that tournament, I feel like, and we were just going to put everything out there on the line. And if it was our day to win, it was our day to win, and it was our day to do good.
So you caught that first fish on a frog, is that right?
It was.
Is there a better bite? Because if there is, I don't know it. One of the best bites I've ever had was on a frog across lily pads, and I absolutely loved it. I don't fish a ton, But I love to throw a frog across lily pads. And when Luke said that was a bite on a frog, like we all got excited about that.
Any top water bite's a pretty good bite.
Yeah, I'd say especially in today's times, there's so much
Yeah.
ever forward facing sonar, and me and Ethan try not to get into any of that, but when you can show people like, hey, I fished way before forward facing sonar, and Ethan did too, and we can catch them up shallow just as good. If you took it away next year, Kay, and you said no more forward facing sonar, you know who the first person would be to sign up? It would be us two. So we're not afraid to get up shallow and stuff. And I feel like we get labeled sometime, being a little bit younger. Ethan's younger than me, but we use the tools that are allowed, and if it's in the rules, we're going to do it. So.
Right. Well, I thought it was a great showing, and we've had a ton of people talk about, the forward facing sonar or whatever, but we've seen a lot of shallow water fishing. We saw that with Chris and Kobe earlier this year at Lake Martin. We saw that, forward facing was not a big deal there. Last year in the North, we had several of the tournaments that we didn't see that forward facing played a big role in that. I know the win at Smith Lake for Craig Grubbs and Matt Ferguson was not a forward facing sonar deal. So I like to watch shallow water fishing. I love to watch frog fishing. It's a lot of fun. We didn't get to see a lot of bed fishing this year with the way the schedule. I really thought we'd see it at Weiss. And then we had all of those conditions that we had at Weiss Lake, which was absolutely insane.
That was the coldest tournament of the year for me.
It seemed like it was. I mean, we had so many things go on at that tournament that behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. I was absolutely mentally exhausted. This year, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a mentally exhausting season for us on the Alabama Bass Trail. But I want to talk a little bit about, we've got a couple more tournaments. I know you've got other tournaments that you're going to be fishing, but a couple more on the Alabama Bass Trail. You've got the Wheeler Lake Championship. And I know Zeke, in the past, you've had a ninth place finish there in 2023. 2024, you had a 10th place finish. And in the ABT 100, which you did have some wheels fall off, had some boat issues and had to come back midday, change boats and all that, still finished in a 38th place. But let's talk about Wheeler Lake in October. What are you looking for going into Wheeler Lake?
I guess redemption, huh? But no, that lake, there's some lakes that agree with you and some that don't. And Wheeler's one of those ones that I've had some agreements with, for sure. Like you said, I had a ninth and a 10th place there, and we were two or three bites away from actually, being in that top three, possibly in those two. But, I feel like, there's three, I kind of section that lake off into three pieces. So you have the dam part, the flats, and then that lower end. The lower end is really good for scoping. The flats is good if you like fishing shallow bars, and the dam, which should be one of my favorites, but normally somehow I end up around the flats most of the time. But I'm looking forward to it. Like if we can figure out what section of the lake's firing off, I feel like we can do all three of what I just named. And looking from last year, we put in the work and we had a decent practice in that ABT 100. I thought for sure we'd have enough to do the points, but like I just said a minute ago, it just wasn't our day that day to win points, and you can practice. That's the thing about fishing. You can practice all you want, and if it's not your time to win, it's not your time to win. But well, I promise you, we'll put in the work to do well in that tournament. It might not show it, but I'm excited for it.
Ethan, have you fished Wheeler in the fall?
I haven't fished many tournaments there, but I've fished there a few times and I've caught some bass there, so I'm excited for it.
It's going to be a fun tournament opportunity to win $50,000 first place with your boat contingency, all that. It could be close to $60,000 that you guys could walk away with. I know at 24, 25 years old, that was life-changing. Well, I'm 52 and that's life-changing money for me now. So that would be really cool. But then in a couple of months after that, you get a chance to go to Lake Hartwell for the Bassmaster Team Championship. Alabama Bass Trail pays your way there. I know both of you have experience on Hartwell. What are you looking for from that tournament?
It's got, of course, spotted bass in it. We're always looking forward to a place where I feel like you can win with spotted bass. At least I am. And they don't act like our spots, of course, because it's deep, clear, and all that. But they still have their same tendencies as anywhere in the country. But that's one of those lakes. Again, I was talking about a lake agreeing with you. Sometimes I've had one really good tournament there. The first time I ever went there, I finished in the top five in big college tournament there. And ever since then, it's been kind of rough on me there. And I don't really know why. I feel like I should really do good there. So I'll be excited to try to figure it out. And especially December, they're going to be biting somewhere. It's Hartwell. They always are. So we're going to put the work in down there too, just like any other tournament, and get after it.
Ethan, any experience on Hartwell that time of the year or at all?
I don't know if I've ever been there in December, but I've fished a few college tournaments there, and I've captained my brother in some high school tournaments there. So I'm pretty familiar with the lake. So I'm pretty excited about it too.
How cool would it be to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic out of Knoxville? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
It would.
I would love to see it, and I think you guys have a great opportunity of doing it. Your Angler of the Year prize, of course, you fish on the Alabama Bass Trail Diamond 2026, so we will get y'all registered for the Alabama Bass Trail South Division. You get a $5,000 bonus for being the overall Anglers of the Year, $2,500 Garmin prize pack, and then $500 for your Bassmaster Team Championship entry fees. That totals $9,600 for a Angler of the Year prize pack. So that's a little extra cash in your pocket there. So help out with some of those other expenses that you'll have for fishing this upcoming year. I want to ask you, also got one more tournament after that, or I guess before the Bassmaster Team Championship. That is Wilson Lake. Right between Wheeler and Pickwick, a real small body of water. I think it's like 11 to 15,000 acres, a little bit bigger than Jordan, but 100 boats on that lake in November. Could be a smallmouth festival, which is what I'm hoping it is anyway. Have you ever fished Wilson at all?
I have a few times.
You have? A few times?
I have.
Okay. In November, in that time frame?
Not in November.
Okay. Zeke?
Yeah, I fished there. I actually won a high school tournament there. Well, I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of graduating, but so it's been about 10 years since I fished there, but I guess I do have a little bit of experience, and but none in November. But I love the month of November. It's one of my favorite times to fish. So and it's going to be probably a dam bite, honestly. And there's no better place I feel more comfortable than a tail race. So I'm looking forward to figuring it out.
It's going to be a fun time. 2026 lines up with Lake Jordan starting off for the season in 2026. Looking forward to that, I think. And then we go over to Lay Lake, which you guys probably like that March timeframe for Lay Lake. Then we head over to Lake Martin in April. Let's see, your May tournament. I'm trying to think now. I've lost all. I guess that's Logan Martin. We go back to Logan Martin in May. So I know that's got out of all the lakes in the South Division for 2026, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Logan, of course. I mean, just being so close to home. May's really not my best time there, but I've gotten better over the years. But I'd say Logan Martin.
Ethan, which one are you looking most forward to in 2026?
I would say Logan Martin, probably.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, guys, there you have it, your 2025. Look at me. I'm already making you Angler of the Year in 2026. Whew. There might be 224 teams that have something to say about that, but they are your 2025 South Anglers of the Year and your overall Anglers of the Year, getting them that $5,000 cash bonus and all the other things that we talked about. Congratulations, guys. What a feat. What a year. And just keep it going. You got a few more to go.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Kay.
Thank you. Thank y'all. All right, there you have it, your 2025 Anglers of the Year for the South Division and your overall Anglers of the Year. We'll be back in just a minute to wrap this thing up and get you back out on the water. Y'all stay tuned.
It's the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. All born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats, and I hope that you saw the differences there. Hunter, Davidson, Bryant, Fikes talked about everything went their way. They caught them early. They caught them everywhere they went to. It happened the way it was supposed to happen. And then you have Zeke and Ethan, who kind of suffered some difficulty through the year with losing a prop and all the different things. So, but they did come out on top with 1,087 points to top Hunter, Davidson, and Bryant Fikes with 1,047 points. They are your overall anglers of the year. Both teams had tremendous seasons on the Alabama Bass Trail, and I think we'll see their names again toward the top of that leaderboard as we go to Wheeler in October. So looking forward to that, and also looking forward to enjoying some time with them over at Lake Hartwell later on as well. A couple of things I want to talk about before we end this podcast. The buzz right now is the 2026 Alabama Bass Trail registration. As you already know, current teams get August 1st through the 14th to register for priority registration. And then new team registration will take place on August the 15th at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Go to alabamabasstrail.org, click register. And once it flips to the new team registration, you will click your division that you want to be in and then start your registration. You will need all of the information, name, address, phone number, and email address, and date of birth of both you and your partner, and all of your boat information, as well as your contingency programs that you are available for. We'll be doing more videos about that as we get closer to registration, so make sure that you're tuned into our YouTube channel and on our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. You also know the ABT 100 is sold out, and we are taking teams on the waiting list. So if you'd like to be added at no cost, you would go to alabamabasstrail100.org, click on add to the waiting list, and get your information in there. That is how I would replace any teams that cancel out. I'll go straight to the waiting list and get you added there. So make sure that you go to alabamabasstrail100.org and add yourself to the waiting list. Also, ABT TV kicks off this Sunday. I think that is July the 6th. Yeah, July the 6th. It will be on FanDuel Sports Network, so you'll need to check your local cable listings for FanDuel Sports Network. We will be on at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Central Time on FanDuel Sports Network. So please make sure to check your local listings. You will be able to see the Alabama Bass Trail 100 on Lake Gunnersville out of Scottsboro, Alabama. It will air this Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Central Time. We will also have that posted on our YouTube page once it airs, so you'll be able to go there and watch as well if you do not subscribe to FanDuel Sports Network. So make sure that you do that. I do want to thank you for listening. I want to thank our guests, Hunter Davidson, Bryant Fikes, Zeke Gossett, and Ethan King for joining us today. And you may have noticed a slight wardrobe change between the interviews. Don't worry about it. We filmed on 2 different days. I totally forgot that I needed to wear the same outfit and got something on my shirt. So we had a little wardrobe malfunction, but we took care of it. So if you notice that, we're not just needing to throw in multiple outfits. I just needed to record on 2 separate days. So I do thank all of our guests for being on with me today. I want to thank you for listening. I also want to thank all of our fans for tuning in throughout the year on live, as well as our sponsors, our host cities, our board of directors, the ABT team, and everyone that supports the Alabama Bass Trail. It has been a trying season, I'm not going to lie, on our team as well as our anglers, but we are excited to crown 2 anglers of the year and get ready to head on into the championship and open registration for the following for the next year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in. I want to remind you to hug your mom and them. Make sure that if you have access to your parents, to your aunts, to your uncles, that you're giving them a little extra love. This day and time, family is very, very important, and we hope that you're going to hug your mom and them. Love on those fur babies. Give them a little extra treato and spend a little time with them. Play a little Frisbee. Riggs and I play a lot of Frisbee outside these days. So y'all take care. It's great to be on the Alabama Bass Trail podcast. We will see you next week. I will remind you the week of ICAST, I believe it's July the 15th. We will not have a podcast as I will be attending ICAST and unable to record down there. But we will see you next week here on the Alabama Bass Trail podcast. Y'all have a great day. God bless, good fishing, and peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast. To learn more about the Alabama Bass Trail, make sure and visit alabamabasstrail.org.